I want to give you a message on belief. It is one of the most powerful words, one of the most game changing tools in your arsenal. When it comes to personal transformation, when it comes to success, when it comes to progress, when it comes to manifest, it is a non negotiable that not only must you cultivate and exercise your belief, but you must deepen it daily. It is not a personality trait. It is not a gift from the heavens. It is not something that you're born with and others are not. It is not for the chosen few. It is for the few who choose to do the proper daily discipline that reaps multiple rewards when it comes to exercising, cultivating, developing your belief. And it's incredibly deceptive because you think because you have a desire to get out of your situation, you want a promotion, you want a better life, you want to advance, and you think that that's enough. And because we're so accustomed to the physical dynamic of our world, and that is what most people rely on and respond to, it is why you see tons of people in physical situations that they don't want to be in, but they belief that that is all that there is for them. They have resigned themselves to a particular lane and reality that is capped when it comes to their capacity because of their belief. There are people who right now are working and they work hard and they're severely underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked. But they believe that that is what they deserve. That's why they do it. There are others who would never in a million years earn the same income that someone that works for low pay, and they'll make that in a year. You got somebody else over here. It would, if that was their month, they would jump out of a freaking window because they believe they're worthy and deserving of more. They have an expectation of more. They have a deep personal connection to the value that they cultivate to bring to the marketplace. They have an understanding. It ties back to belief. If you look at belief in a circular motion, you have an idea. Like if you ask anyone, hey, would you like to earn $1 million this year? Majority of people are going to say yes, of course. Who wouldn't? That's how they're going to respond. So they have a picture of an outcome. I would like to make $1 million in a year. And from that picture, that vision, they embark on actions in order to get that particular result. When I make $1 million in a year, I'm gonna start taking actions to get there. Now, the actions are based on what? Their belief. So the belief is here, okay? So you have the belief, it says, hey, I want to make $1 million in a year, but the belief is here. That's the foundation. I'm gonna make $1 million a year, actions are right here, results are gonna be right here. Now, because most people don't believe that they're truly worthy of such an amount, the actions that they take are going to reinforce the belief. So those actions for a lot of people are playing the lottery, hoping that somebody dies and leaves them a fortune, hoping that maybe they'll meet somebody that's already rich and they can marry rich, hoping that they're going to find $1 million in a bag on the side of a road. So those actions, ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to get the results. And when they see that playing the lottery, hoping that somebody dies, maybe marrying somebody who's rich, maybe finding $1 million in a bag, they see the results is never going to happen. And that reinforces their internal belief that they were never worthy of $1 million in a year to begin with. So that belief now reinforces their vision, which begins to shrink because the belief is infecting everything else. So they end up taking just enough action to not get close, or taking silly actions that will never really actually create that result. Because their belief is the belief in the story that they're living from has such low value and low expectation for who am I. Here's something that most people struggle from: low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-image. And it is revealed in their choices and their behaviors and in their results. Cannot hide that. You can't hide from that. You can look at it. Money's just a way of keeping score. That's how we can evaluate. And you can look at how someone is performing. You can look at someone's structure. You can look at someone's business, whatever they're doing. You can always go back to that internal belief. Now, you say, well, what if I really truly do want to level up? What if I do want to transform my life? What if I do want to create a different set of results? Well, then you have to cultivate a deeper and greater belief. See, the reason we are so responsive to the physicality of the world, because it's instantaneous. So you have a lot of people that will work a job where they're overworked and underpaid, but they can anticipate a certain amount of income every 2 weeks or every month, however they get paid. Even though they know it's not enough, they know that it's coming. It creates certainty, and it's called a false sense of security, which then gives them something to believe in, but they're actually believing in someone else's value on who they are. They're allowing someone else to define their value and worth in the marketplace. And what happens is, if you fall into that rhythm, then you're not taking the time to develop and cultivate a greater belief and a greater vision. You actually begin to downsize your life according to your paycheck. We call it being a paycheck player, because you don't grow, you don't learn any new skills, you don't increase your value in the marketplace, and you don't test your value in the marketplace. You have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is always going to be your broke zone. And so what happens is this cyclical nature. And if you ask most people, and they're being honest with you, they will tell you, yes, I am overworked and underpaid. Well, what else are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Or I'm not, I do a couple of side gigs or whatever, but I'm not doing a whole lot. Why not? Well, I'm busy. I don't have time. I'm too busy working a job that keeps me broke to learn a new skill. I'm too busy to keep working a job that keeps me broke to develop my value and worth in the marketplace, to make that a priority. I'm too busy being broke to expand my self-concept, to cultivate a bigger, larger vision of myself, to cultivate a greater belief, to learn new skills. Well, see, that's the cyclical nature. And if you allow yourself to be defined by someone else's value of you, it's always going to be too small. Always. There are a lot of really good, talented people that work menial jobs and they're making barely enough money. But they get their self-esteem and their self-worth and their self-image from that job, because they feel useful, they feel important. It's human nature to want to feel useful, to want to be of service in some way, shape, or form. That's human nature. If you allow that to be the only thing that you assign your worth to, then you are doomed to a life of mediocrity, and you'll never make any real money. It's the years will just go by like this, boom, 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 and you'll never have the experience of creating your own freedom. You just won't. And that goes back to belief. So how do we develop and exercise this belief muscle? Well, number one is understanding the origin of the word belief. Being. We must be, do, have. Be, do, have. Meaning we have a vision, an internal conversation with ourselves about who we want to be. Who do I want to be? And now I make sure that my actions are in alignment with who I want to be. If I want to be incredibly useful in the marketplace, if I want to develop a skill set, I'm going to read, I'm going to study every single day to develop my skills. I'm going to get in my reps and my sets. If that means having conversations, if it means interviewing people, if it means writing for an hour every single morning and an hour every single afternoon, an hour every single night, if it means practicing an instrument because I want to master an instrument to play and get paid to do it, whatever that particular dynamic is for you, you've committed to mastery. You're willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes until you get to a level of mastery. And there's levels to mastery. It's not just one level and then you're done. There's always levels. There's always another level of mastery in whatever lane that you're in. So now you're in a rhythm where you have a clear and concise mental picture. We don't get in life what we want. We get in life what we picture. So you have a clear, concise mental picture of who you want to be. Then your actions are in alignment with that picture, not where you are, not your current circumstances. Remember, your vision always has to be larger and more compelling than your current circumstances. And now your actions are in alignment with where you're going. You got to remember I said this last week, you got to go there in order to go there. So your actions are supporting that because you're knee deep in study. Like what do physicians do? What do? They go to medical school, correct? There's a lot of talented, smart people that get into medical school, but not all of them are going to graduate. There's a lot of talented, smart people that get into medical school, go through medical school, graduate, but not all of them become successful practitioners in their field. See, the ones that make it all the way through the tape instead of running to the tape are the ones that have a vision and it's non-negotiable and their actions are consistent. And that's what enables them to run through the tape instead of to the tape. That's a level of mental toughness. It's a level of self accountability. It's a level of daily discipline that is imposed on oneself that allows you to separate yourself from the pack. That's based on what? Belief. I know I have value. I know what I can bring to the table. I'm supremely confident in who I am and what I have to offer. No one can take that away from you when you put in work. No one, because you can't fake that. Can't fake it. When you show up, people just know you have something to offer. There's something different about you because of how you're showing up, because you've been putting in the work day in and day out in the field, on the battlefield of, I was going to say war, but on the battlefield of play. Because it's a battlefield, right? I'm not going to say war. That's a little over the top, but there is a battlefield of the mind, and you want to get in the field of play, in the arena. The man and the woman in the arena, not the person that's sitting on the sidelines kicking and throwing rocks at you, not the people that are on the sidelines of life because they've decided this is my life, this is the rest of my life. I'm going to be doing this job until I die, until I retire, and that's that. I'm not talking about people that have parked. It's not a right or wrong conversation. It's just not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those of you that want more, that want to elevate to a different level, that have a desire that's greater than your current circumstances, and you're willing to put in the work every damn day to get it done. So you exercise and develop this muscle of belief. Be, I must be, and then do, and then I will have. Lie, lie. A lie is a fable. It is something that is made up, that is not necessarily true, that people will believe. Now, a lie can be disempowering or it can be empowering. Example, if I have it in my mind that somebody is out to get me, someone is out to hurt me, somebody is out to stab me in the back in order to get that promotion. If I have that in my mind, That could be a lie. It might be true, but it might not be true. But I'm leveraging that lie in order to make sure that I'm on my game. Now it's a negative, right? But I use it as fuel to make sure I come in early, I stay late, nobody's going to outwork me, and no one's going to be more sharper and on top of their task because I know somebody's out here trying to take me out. Now I could have just made that whole thing up in my head, right? Like it's good to have an enemy. It's very important, right? To have an enemy because enemies keep us accountable. Enemies keep us motivated. Enemies can keep us driven. Like when people are fighting for or against something, they just have a little more umph to it, right? Another example, I believe that I'm going to earn $1 million a month. Okay. I'm going to move and act as if I'm earning $1 million a month. Now it's a lie. I'm not making $1 million a month. But in my head, I believe that I am, and I act as if I am. I have a certain air about me, a certain confidence, a certain odor of success that just emanates from my pores. Well, that's an empowering lie, right? But B lie, belief. Belief. F is for focus. So whatever you be a lie, F, belief, whatever you're focusing on the longest becomes the strongest. And it can be a disempowering belief or an empowering belief. I just believe if you're going to have a belief, why not it be an empowering belief? I am the most dynamic and powerful leader that you will ever encounter. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, it only matters that I believe it. So that when I show up and I am presenting myself, I have that confidence, I have that energy, I have that swag. So it's an exercise. If you have to write down what it is that you want to be, if you have to put it on your whiteboard or your vision board, who you want to be, and you look at it and you study it every morning, every afternoon, every night, you put it on your phone and your screensaver every morning, every afternoon, every night, and you make sure that you're taking massive action every single day in order to get to that particular outcome, that particular picture. See, the problem is that for a lot of people, it's not that they don't want more. It's not that they don't have pictures of success. It's that they allow themselves to get distracted by all these other pictures. Pictures that they have nothing to do with, pictures that someone else has created, pictures that someone has put in your purview so that you can be distracted and they can have your attention instead of your goals and your dreams having your attention. And now you're being distracted in a million different ways and you're getting sucked into the vortex of the scroll universe. You're getting sucked into the vortex of the electronic income producer. You're getting sucked into the vortex of all of these screens and you're not staying focused. So even if you have an image of success, you're not on it long enough for it to even have a chance to be manifest. Another distraction, people, relationships, conversations, all of this noise that has nothing to do with your outcome. Things that are coming into your energetic space to distract you, to get you off base. Because remember, we respond to the physicality because it's immediate. That's why people take jobs that they don't like because they get instant gratification. I'm about to get a paycheck. I'm excited. That's why people find themselves with friends that they shouldn't be having as friends because they want instant gratification. This person likes me. I like them. I got a friend. I'm happy. I don't want to be alone. People find themselves in relationships they don't need to be in because they want instant gratification. This person likes me. I like them. I don't want to be alone. Oh, wait a minute. We don't have the same value system. Oh, wait a minute. This person's kind of off. Oh, wait a minute. There's some problems here I didn't know about. But by then it's like, oh, you're all up in it because you're looking for the physicality instead of understanding the power of the spiritual. Let me ask you a question. What's more powerful, what is seen or what is unseen? In your journey of life, some of the most significant life-changing moments in your life have come from what? What is seen or what is unseen? What is unseen, of course. You had an idea. I'm going to get an A in this class, and you went out and did it. It was up here. It was a vision first. It was a mindset. It was a vision quest, and you went out and did it. Boom. I was inspired by that. I was transformed by that. I saw myself being a business owner, and then I became one. Boom, had the vision. What is unseen became manifest. If you move and live your life waiting for external confirmation, waiting for somebody else to tell you your worth, waiting for somebody else to come along and rescue you, waiting for somebody else to come along and save you, ain't nobody coming to save you. That's up to you. You got to save you. Again, this is how people get off course, how they get distracted, because they don't understand the power is within. It's not from somebody else, or you're not going to get affirmation from somebody else. You have to get it internally. Internally. And you cultivate whatever relationship you may or may not have. If you have a relationship with a higher power, spiritual walk, fantastic. Deep in that walk, it's going to support your outcome. But belief is an exercise. It is a choice. It is not a personality trait or a birthright. It is something that we all have access to. You just got to put in the daily disciplines to cultivate that belief. And so when you understand, okay, so let me look at my belief, because that's the foundation. I believe that if this person can do it, I can do it too, because they're breathing the same oxygen, putting on their pants one leg at a time, just like I do. And they don't have any particular skill set that's any greater or lesser than mine, but they do have grit, they do have grind, and they do have guts and determination. And those are intangibles that I can tap into if I so choose. And so my belief is that if they can do it, I can do it. That's just an initial belief based in reality. And so, what's the vision? The vision. Some of you are going to do really well with a big vision coming right out of the gate, because it's going to scare you. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to give you anxiety. And there's no way to get to that vision without drastically changing your activity and your actions every single day. Let me clue you in on this. If people are not looking at you and like, what are you doing? I never thought in a million years you'd be moving like the way you're moving right now. Hold on a second. You're going to the gym 2 times a day every day, and you hadn't gone to the gym in the last 3 years. Hold on a second. You're staying late and you're coming in early. And on top of that, you're doing this, that, and the other. How are you doing it all? If people are not commenting on your level of activity and your level of energy, you ain't about to do nothing. They'll tell you. You don't have to say a word to nobody. They will tell you. Man, the way that this person is moving every day, they going somewhere. I can tell. The way they show up every day, they're going somewhere. Their attitude every single damn day, that person is going somewhere. That's somebody I want to follow. I want to follow that example. I want to follow that example. That's how you want to be. So that's for those of you that want to have the big vision. Now, there are others of you, it's going to be better to have a stepping stone. All right, my first vision is to make sure that I'm working out 5 times a week. Boom, I'm going to get it done. Non-negotiable. My integrity, everything. If I say it, my word is law. I do what I say and say what I do, because the more I do what I say, the more what I say comes true. 5 times a week is non-negotiable. I'm going to go out here and give myself a 20% raise in the next 30 days. So that means I got to come into work 2 hours early, stay 2 hours late. That means I got to spend 2 hours a night studying to learn a new skill set to make more money. Whatever it is, I'm going to get it done. And my actions will always, always, always speak louder than my words. So boom, get that 20% raise at the end of 30 days. You were integrity with yourself. It's not a big leap. 20% is not a lot, but you got it done. Boom. Now you go to the next goal. But that's the belief. And then you have the vision. You take the actions that are non-negotiable, and then you look at the results. And guess what happens? Guess what happens when you come back around to belief after this cycle? Boom, belief gets a little bit stronger. Belief starts to get a little bit bolder, a little more confident. Belief says, hey, man, let's go for a 25% raise in the next 30 days. Let's see if we can do that. Boom, that's the target, the actions. I already know the actions I took before. So if I just double what I did before, I'm guaranteed to smash it. Boom, get the results. Boom, belief gets bigger. Boom. You ever heard the phrase, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Why? Because their belief is being reinforced every single day. So whether you believe for poverty and lack and limitation and low self-esteem and low self-worth and low self-image, if that's your belief, that's going to be reinforced by your actions on a subconscious level. If you believe for abundance, if you believe for opportunity, if you believe for high self-worth, high self-image, high self-esteem, you're going to behave in that way. And you're going to have those results. People are going to respond to you. People respond to you based on how you treat you. You can't wait to see how people are going to treat you before you figure out who you are. You got to know who you are before people encounter you, and then watch what happens. People feed off of that because most people don't have belief. Most people don't have confidence. Most people are scared. They're running around with anxiety and fears and low self-esteem and low self-worth and low self-image. You could smell it on them like a dog. But when you come into that space, they see you and they see what's possible. And you got to make a choice. Do you want to be an example, or do you want your life to be a warning? Do you want to embody those things that people would want to copy, or do you want to embody those things that people would never want to be around? It's a choice, and it all comes from your belief. And you know what's really cool about it is that you can identify, and it's hard, okay? I'm not saying it's easy, it's hard to, but you can find some other individuals who are leveling up in their life, who have that belief, who are cultivating a greater belief, a bigger belief. And you can be very selective about who you give your time, energy, and attention to, because that's going to feed you. It's going to either push you out of your comfort zone or it's going to keep you in it. But make no mistake, the only way through is through. And the actions have to be the actions. Can't fake your way through this. There's no way, there's no way to fake this. You can watch and consume as much as you want to watch and consume. You can read all the books you want to read, listen to all the audios you want to listen to, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. What are you doing every day to show up for your dreams and your goals? Show me your calendar, I'm going to show you your future. Show me your activity, I'll show you your future. Show me the work that you're putting in. You can't fake it. I want to see receipts, because I would expect you to hold me accountable and ask to see my receipts from the last 30, 45, 60 days. I got them. I got them. I'm putting in the work. I'm not trying to hide. It doesn't mean that I don't fall on my face. It just means that I get back up and I keep it moving. You're either going to win or you're going to learn. The loss is in the lesson, the win is for the blessing. And you can have both and have a win-win situation. So belief, ladies and gentlemen, it's a muscle that has to be exercised. It is deepened and expanded by the books that you're reading. As Charlie Tremendous Jones would say, the audios that you're listening to and the conversations that you're having. If you're engaging and interacting with folk that have no drive, no ambition, if you're hanging around folk that are in dead-end jobs, they have no aspirations, they don't want more, they're not looking for more, they're scared of opportunity, that ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna get it. I said it's not easy. I said it's hard to identify those other eagles. This is why eagles don't fly in packs. Pigeons are all over the damn place. And all pigeons do is they just, I should have done this, and I wish I would have done this, and I should have did this, and I wish I would have done that. And they just should all over themselves. And you too. You can love a pigeon, but don't be spending time around them. It's not a good use of your time. Make some choices that are going to empower you, that are going to align you with that higher vision for yourself. You want a better life, raise your standard when it comes to your actions, when it comes to your expectations. You want a better position, raise your standard. One of the things I love about doing business is that in our business, we have people that we have access to that are playing at a very, very, very high level. And these are what you and I would call average Joe, but they're playing at a very high level. They're getting results at a very high level. And what that does is it creates confirmation. It's a constant reminder of what is available. It reinforces the belief that we already have. And that is our duty and obligation, is to stay plugged in and tapped in to those people who are living embodiments and real-time examples of living life and playing at a high level, getting results, and having the lifestyle to come with it. It's an exercise, ladies and gentlemen. It's a choice, ladies and gentlemen, and we engage in it every single day. Build, develop, and cultivate your belief. How many beliefs have you had previously, and you look back at them and you're like, man, that was some BS. Like, how the heck, right? Belief system. How the heck was I plugged into that? Like, look what the results were. I didn't do nothing. Look what I used to believe. I used to believe that if I waited for this magical person to come down the chimney, they were going to give me something and change my life. Listen, you know how disempowering that is? Do you know how weak that makes people? that like we would allow our kids to believe that some dude was gonna fly around with some freaking reindeer and hop on the chimney and climb down and leave and give some gifts and you ain't do nothing to deserve them. Maybe you were good or whatever the hell that means, and then they magically fall like that. That sets people up because now they're entitled. They think, man, all I have to do is just wish and wait, and then I'm gonna get good stuff. That's crazy that we actually have programmed an entire generation of youth to believe that trash. That's stupid. It's just dumb. But it has consequences later on in life because it's a part of their foundational what? Belief. It's a part of their foundational belief that some dude on with some flying reindeer or some Easter bunny or whatever it is gonna come in and give you something. So now you waiting and you're entitled and you ain't putting in no work. It has consequences. So part of you cultivating your belief is to really acknowledge through some personal inventory what are some beliefs that you have housed in your mind frame that don't serve you. Taking stock and inventory of some of the trash you've been buying into so that you can wake the hell up and get off your butt and get to work and stop waiting for somebody to give you something. Like, what is that? It's right here. Belief is right here. It's in your hands. It's in your mind. Has nothing to do with who raised you, has nothing to do with where you grew up, has nothing to do with who you hung around with, the mistakes that you've made in the past. Here's a flash. News flash. Your past does not equal your future. Your past does not equal your future. You can hit the reset, reinvent button right now, be brand new. Reinvent your life right now. Identify those parts of your belief system that really don't serve you. Identify those parts that you can learn from, and then make a decision. I'm going to be brand new. Here's who I want to be, and I'm going to go be that, and I'm going to go do that. It's powerful. It's a muscle that we must cultivate, that we must exercise. And if we do, and if you do, your life will never be the same. You can literally change everything right now. Got some value out of this? Please like and subscribe. Share this message, pass it on to some people that can benefit from it as well. I'm very excited to see how you are going to utilize the power of belief in your life to continuously cultivate it, deepen it, expand it, and earn the right to get bigger in your belief, bigger in your vision every single day.